instead of, don't call for it.
You're now live, David.
And whatever number that may be in that pop-up, call me instead.
All right, welcome back. We had a little PSA announcement here while we were dealing with some technical difficulties. So, and actually our technology guru gave us some insights about ransomware, and Mark Weber is Weber Computer Services, little advertisement here. Give him a call if you're having any issues with your computer or Facebook Live or anything else like that. So anyway, we're back online. Hopefully you got a good portion of the intro, and now I'm going to turn the floor over to Jena Apgar, who will be sharing with us and walking through developing a killer business plan. Jena?
I'm so sorry about the technology flub. I don't know what happened with that particular application. If any of y'all did the Melanie Murphy vote, I don't know, anybody vote for her?
Yeah,
Something about that triggered my Facebook account. So if you voted, maybe it might be a good time to password change, or
I had to do that this morning.
that was it then. So I don't know what it is or what that particular application did to make Facebook angry, but they just made them angry. I'll have to look into that later. So, because it is so long, is there anybody in here who just hates electronic templates? Likes paper? Okay, I got a couple. So, can I get an assistance, Lloyd? Can you hand out? I've only got a few, and they're really long. The ones that I'm handing out, those are like the written business plan. I've only got like 7.
Are you going to also send us electronic?
Of course I am, because I'm not building on
Well,
paper.
you're on Business Growth Network.
Yes.
Okay.
So for any of the Business Growth Network insiders, there will be a template that will be built, and you can build everything in there, and it'll have all the questions ready for you to answer in there. And but I know some people are old school. I just printed it right off the Small Business
Some people are just old.
Right.
SBA, Small Business Association Administration. Theirs tends to be a little bit more heavy. So the idea is I just want everyone to have a business plan, even if that is something really simple. If I consider it kind of a living document, so get something on paper, and then you can add to it, change to it, modify it, try to do it all at one time. I was on the SBA, and they were saying, like, it takes 10 hours. So I was like, most people don't have that kind of time and investment to take a whole, day or two out of work.
That's the government for you.
That's the government for you. They're getting a little nitty-gritty, and that is for when you are requesting financing. So, it's obvious a little bit more. I do recommend, though, even professionals have a business plan. The best year I ever had working for a company, like the most professional growth I ever made, the most money I got, asking for raises, was because I essentially had built a business plan. I didn't call it that, but that's what it was. I had a plan for my business and professional growth. Growth costs money, whether that's you taking extra training or it takes your time, learning something or networking or doing something. Have a plan. So many businesses fail. I think it's because there's never a plan. I know to the people who are on my email list and the Business Growth Insiders, I think I sent an email out. It was a little bit personal. I was like, I was having a really crappy day, and I was coming here, and I was like, I have to go. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was like, what can make my day better? And I have like a vision board-ish business plan pinned up on this little magnetic board in my office. I was like, a cell would make me happy, and then I could rub it a little bit in my husband's face, because he likes to do that to me all the time. And I was like, that would make me happy. And I came here, and I had a crazy pitch, and someone was like, yeah, I want that. Then I modified it. That was a little too crazy, so I modified it a little bit. And then, on another bad day, launched the same pitch with a little bit more cushion and freedom for me, and made more sales. So that's what a business plan can offer. When you have your goals right up there on the board, right in front of you, pinned to your wall, tacked up there, use a dry erase marker on your window. You can go full tack, right? You can do that. Didn't know that? My sister showed me. It works. Not too good for the neighbors walking by reading my stuff backwards though, right? Whatever. So, I'm going to walk you through a very basic business plan, or it can be very complicated. So, think about what your needs are, and go forth from there. So, kind of like the slogan was, you would not drive all the way to New York City from Texas without first looking and having some kind of plan, even if it's just follow my GPS, which, by the way, from experience, bad idea. It's a good way to end up in a ghetto. Been there, done that. All right, my first one is just prepping. So obviously, like I said, a business plan could be very simple. It can be very complicated. If you ever see a business plan for like Baylor, huge, versus something you might be preparing, which is just, a couple little slides. Now this is hard to see. This is pulled straight from a giant checklist I have in the BGN Insiders, but it's just kind of like a list. So one of the things is, what is your business plan for? So basically, I'm going to be kind of walking you through a basic strategic one, like your overarching business plan. It's going to have like a bunch of items in it. It's going to be helping you find direction to, if you did the vision challenge, how in your business can you reach that dream vision that, was discussed and laid out? That's the whole point. How do you get from dot A to dot B? And that's the kind I'm working with. But not all business plans are like that. If you're looking to aggressively grow and you need more employees, you need a business plan just for attracting those new employees. I just looked at one from Amazon. My sister got flown out to Amazon and got hired. She got the letter yesterday, or at least an offer made. She has to accept it. But they have a business plan, a presentation. It's all, how do we get employees and attract them? ZipRecruiter flew her out. Their big thing is, when they take them to the corporate office, you get to see the beach, mountains, and the city all in one building, and you're like not even like 3 blocks away from the beach. That's their big attraction, and that's part of their business model and their business plan. So think about what you need to do. What is your goal? And that is going to be determine what kind of business plan you need. So I do recommend for those that the Vision Challenge is free. It's open source, and you can join it anytime now. David and I opened it up. I do recommend doing this first, because a lot of the planning and the questions that are your kind of like your summary. We were talking in a different conversation that, whether you do the summary first or at the end, I want you to have a vision for where you're going. I want you to know which direction you're heading into. So I do recommend doing that vision challenge first, at least the first 2 questions. Why are you doing this? And where do you want to go? What do you provide the community? If you just want to make money, your business plan is going to be very short-sighted. It's not going to have that bigger picture. Why do you fall out of bed? What motivates you? What do you give back? What value do you add? And then some of these questions, your ideal audience, ideal client. For those that did the Vision Challenge, you'll know this is right up in there. Why are your potential customers going to buy from you? What makes you special? What makes you different? How are you going to reach them? These are just some of the basic questions that I want you to know before we get into it. Now, I mentioned just a second ago, actually the first, when you're like reading a all the way done for you business plan, that is going to be your summary. Think about it as like a little thesis statement for those who did college writing. I do that last. If you already know where you're going, then do that last, because you start to create all these different parts. That summary is going to change a little bit. You're going to start doing some market research. You're going to start doing some financials. You're going to start looking at what type of plans that your customers actually want, so what products your customers actually want, and your summary might change. So have a direction, have a basic kind of thesis statement in your head, but I want you to do the rest of the business plan first, and then come back and write your summary statement.
The important thing she's saying, though, is that's assuming you have your vision challenge type of stuff done. You know where you're going. You know the general direction. And the summary can come, and usually is effectively done. What you would call an executive summary is done after that, if you've already given the energy that we recommend to figure out where directionally you're going with your business.
And I think everyone who actually finished the Vision Challenge, at least with us, and was posting it, they put a lot of effort into it, and they put a lot of thought in their answers, whether they shared them all or not. So definitely get that done first. I don't want you to be aiming at the target and be like, oh, it's somewhere over there, where you can just, it's right there. So do that one first, and the next step we're going to go to is the description. And the description is going to be some of your basics, like some of the boring stuff, your mission statement. The mission statement these days does not need to be super corporate. It doesn't need to be some lengthy thing. It can be fun, like, we love dogs, we love the planet, like whatever. I've seen some that, try to get it short and succinct, but it needs to be motivating. What's going to motivate you? What would you put up on the mood board that would make you happy every day? How are you going to serve? How are you going to give back? What are your limitations going to be? I think online I was having a bad day with politics. I am ex-military intel, and so politics just gets under my skin so bad, especially the lack of truth in politics. So it causes so many arguments. You know, I was like, Randy mentioned, I was like, I need pillars. What are my pillars? Pillars would be in this section. And not just for my business, what are my pillars personally? I'm hands off. It makes me too angry. I'm done with politics. I'm not sure what will make me so angry I'll get back in, but I'm done. Even personally, we're done. It's not a pillar. It's not happening from now on my social media. In your business, one of the companies my sister interviewed with was ThoughtWorks. It's a consulting company. And one of theirs is kind of like a Google do no harm. If they get a client that wants like a cigarette company, they're like, nope, not taking you. I don't care if you're willing to pay us $1 billion. Do no harm. It's not in our pillars. We're not taking it. So start establishing, what is your business going to be about? What are your limitations? What are the things that you're going to cover? And start to narrow that focus. What are the key areas, the key 3-4 areas that are going to help you get to that dream vision that need to be included? This is going to help you say no. Sometimes you need to say yes, but a lot of times you need to say no. And just knowing some of these things that are kind of basic to your company. How are you going to be structured? Are you going to be a small company, a large company? Are you going to be a corporation, an S Corp or a C Corp? Are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be a sole proprietor? So some of this is really boring, but it really matters on the back end when you start moving forward. And try to consider, if you want to be a large company, being a sole proprietor is not a good idea. The bigger you get, if you start having patents, you're going to want the protection of corporations, LLCs, and all that. Values, are you going to have employees? Are you going to outsource? Are you going to use VAs? And then another one that it doesn't always seem like a good idea until you need it for a proposal. Any key people that are going to be in your business have resumes. Have a resume for you. I think and for my personally, I've not done it in a couple of years, so this is where I will be working with y'all for those that join me afterwards. Keep a running master resume for each one of your employees, including yourself. What are your big wins? If you close a big deal, quantify that. The best resume bullet points are quantified. I closed a $1 billion deal. Obviously, this is probably far out of reach, but and I profited that company. I raised their profits 10% over the course of the year. Whatever it is, bullet point it, because one day you're going to have to sit about a proposal, and you're going to want to know what you actually accomplished.
One of the things I would recommend here is when she says resume, if you're old school, you think of that paper resume. In today's world, you really need to think of what your resume that you would call is reflected in your LinkedIn. You really need to, your resume needs to be reflected for those and your employees, because that's where 95% of the people that are sourcing talent, sourcing anything are going to LinkedIn. So you need to make sure that your LinkedIn is current, and that's a good place to start in terms of making sure you got this. Go to your LinkedIn profile.
That can be your master
Yeah, and I'll just
resume.
add a little bit to that too, is don't think of it in terms of the classical resume with
No.
chronological job.
No.
Think of it as a profile of accomplishments.
Yes.
Right.
What is it that you've done that other people would be impressed with and say, hey, that's what I need?
I think of military EPR bullet points. What are your big accomplishments? Whether it was, I think I did one. I completely renovated like 1,000-book secret library, found 2 missing items that disappeared, and then turned around and trashed all of it and put on a disc, and that was my accomplishment.
Yeah.
So whatever those, big bullet points.
Right.
It doesn't need to be that classic one. It can just literally be something you can put on a PowerPoint.
Not a job description.
Not a job description.
Right.
Please, no job descriptions. I just want your big accomplishments. What have you done? And for your employees. And you'll appreciate that because everything, we always talk about a regular people basis in here. People hire people. And that is going to be one of the things that when you go to say, why should you hire me? This is why you should. This is me, the person. These are my employees, and this is what they can do for you because they've already done it for somebody else. And then the knowing any of the legalities for your business. That could be very different for every single person in this room. Know which rules and regulations and Texas, federal, county, city, whatever you're dealing with, all in this section. And the market. This is the one I feel like everyone skips. I mean, they just completely skip over it. This is your market research. This isn't even the end of my checklist. You can't even read it up here. It's kind of a big deal. I want you to know everything about your market. I want you to know about every little detail about your customers. I want you to know who your competitors are in detail, as if you're going to war with them. Like, again, military, can't help myself. You're going to war with these people. You are going to be yanking and stealing every bit of market share that you can. You want to know what you're working with. You want to know every price structure they have. You want to know who their customers are, why they get them. I don't want you copying them because you need to be you. But I do want you to in-depth, intel, identify and everything they've got because they've already done a lot of the work for you. They've already have a lot of the research for you. You might as well tap into that, right? And then I want to know who works with you. Who do you want to work with? And what is everything I need to know? Do they even want your services? You know, we talked about, you know, what are the pain points for that group? This is where I want all that information up here. What questions are they going to ask? Are they going to balk at your price? Are they going to balk at need? Are they going to say, that's some, what is Karen, woo-hoo stuff? Like, yeah. They're like, I don't believe in that. How do they feel? You know, how somebody's probably already doing what you're doing. How are they overcoming the objections? I want you to dive into the market as much as possible. Know your demographics. Are you working, you know, just in the Frisco area? Are people wealthy? Are they poor? So if you're trying to sell, you know, extra services in South Dallas where people don't, you know, can barely pay for, you know, food, and you're a completely extra non-necessary purchase, that's going to be a hard demographic to build a business in. You might need to move your business. So knowing this information, knowing your market, and having all this information, that's critical before you can start determining what your product and services even are. If you don't know who you're selling to and that kind of market, you can't even go to the next step. Does that make sense? And the next one is your product or service line. So everyone's like, oh, I consult. I can do anything and everything, right? No, you can't. You need to have you can and you can't, but you should have some very basic, some kind of plan structure to say, here's my general packages. Here's 3, you know, a low, mid, and high tier. This is how I determine who fits where. You know, Randy, I mean, consultants are a great example. How do you decide who you charge $500 for versus who you charge $50,000 for? Is it based on an hourly structure? Do your clients want that hour, like based on your market research, or does the market, you know, I think about attorneys. I really dislike, nobody likes that hourly structure where your bill could be $200 or $10,000. Then you don't trust your attorney as much. So that was what my husband learned from kind of doing some market research. He does flat fees. The price is $500. This includes all your court fees. This is everything you need. This is me doing A, B, and C. If you need something past that, it's $1,500 if you want me to get a trial. Flat fee structure, that works for him. What works for your clients based on that market research? Your service could be one product, and if you have one product, then I highly suggest you partner and network with somebody who has complementary products and say, I'm going to sell them this, but afterwards I'm going to suggest this, and I'm going to take a cut or an affiliate, or what do you call yours? Agency fee. Have something else. You should have at least like 3, some kind of offering, low, mid, high, and then separate it. Like I said, Randy's a great example. If you're consulting, is it the number of employees that changes how much you structure? Is it how much revenue they're bringing in each year, how much profit? What makes one more than the other? So if you can surely customize, right? But you want to kind of give them an idea already. This is kind of the box we're working in, and then if you need some massaging, we can work with the numbers, right? But have something you can put in front of them, nice and easy, based on all that market research. Another one is know the life cycle stage of your product or service. So if you have an easy, like if you're selling, clothes, the life cycle is somebody walks into your store, buys the clothes, and they're out the door. So how long, though, does it take them to get them to walk in the store? Do they look at a product, go, ooh, that's expensive? Do they need to think about it? If you're B2B, though, so that clothing, that's a short life cycle still. You can get them in the store and have it all done in a week. If you're business to business, that life cycle could be 13 months. They could only, they might have to factor you into any pricing, let's say they do it, my dad in the military did all the financing like in September. All purchases for the next whole entire year were decided in the September-October timeframe. He closed out the books in September for the last year, and he made all purchasing decisions for the next year in October. So if you're trying to pitch him in December, you're a lost cause. Because he's already made all his decisions. He's just like, look, put all your plans together, and I take submissions in July. And then we'll make decisions in October. You can balk at that all you want. It doesn't change the process. So know your sales cycle for your products and services for the ideal clients you want. The other one here, I don't think I have it. I'm still working on this, is where do they decide they need somebody? So what makes them, so I do marketing, a great time to hit somebody else up is when they are starting a fresh business. They've got nothing. They may not have any money either, but that's a good place to hit them up to let them know I exist. If you are, let's say, a grief counselor, if somebody has parents or family in hospice, that's a good time to find them because they're going to eventually need a grief counselor, and that's a good time to find them before that. So when do people buy your product or service, and what are they doing a stage or two before that? And so if you're looking for clients, knowing that information, what comes before that, great place to be and great place to network.
Can I just add one to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You also need to know who the decision makers are.
Yeah.
Because you could be pitching to someone way down in the organization.
I think that goes more in the market research and the analysis, but yeah, you definitely need to know who are the decision makers. And I always kind of laugh a little bit in my house. Everybody wants my husband's attention because he actually writes the check, and I'm like, it's not happening. Good luck. You try calling him all day long. You can email him, and he's just going to defer to me. And the more you try to hit up him, or the more you try to tell him, oh, we need your husband at the table, you're going to get a nice, not pleasant or more close to French language, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You keep, another marketer was asking me that 2 weeks ago. They're like, no, I want to demand both people are at the table. And I was like, the more you demand that from me, the more I'm going to turn away, do a quick 180 and walk away. But you need to know, what is your market? Are they cool with that? Or, are they getting hit up all the time and they're done with it? So yeah, definitely you need to know that information. Marketing. How do you plan to grow your business? So we've done all this great market research. We know who to talk to. We know what they want. We know what to offer them. How are you going to make them aware you exist? What is your plan for that? So I try to break this up in my own as detailed as humanly possible. I'm going to have a Facebook ad. I'm going to have a networking meeting. I'm going to go to a conference where I pay for a booth. Well, what is that next step? What are you going to offer them that's going to catch their attention and be like, oh, I want that? Or how are you going to get that email so you can send them an email? So you can make them an offer. So you can ask if they want this. So you can add value. Oh, well, they're going to go to that value and they're going to see my product's worth something. What is the exact stage? Boom, 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 boom. When you know that process, your sales cycle, your client journey, whatever you want to call it, things become a lot easier. So if you use a CRM system, they have that all laid out for you. I was just trying to get David to maybe use the CRM just for booking people to speak here. I just built out, I was doing a challenge for exposing your business. There's even a process for that. You make a whole list of all the people you'd like to reach because you've got their name or number or email or something, put them in your CRM, and you'd be like, I need to contact all these people. So you now have a to-do list. But if you didn't have that sequence, you wouldn't have that. So you're like, these are all my potential clients to take me up on the 365 Facebook post for an entire year. These are the people who I think wanted, who's given me interest. So now I can go follow up with them. Hey, Mark, you said you were interested. Can I answer any questions for you? Call them up. Okay, I've called him, now he's in the list, and my next one is if he's not a customer yet, do I email him? How am I going to continually reach out to him? What is my process for that to make sure that I can put him over here in the client spot? And once he's a client, I want you to keep going, because your best referrals, your best marketing, and your best new customers are your existing customers, as long as you've taken care of them. So once you have a process just to get them in the door, I want you to keep going. What is your process for when you start business? Do you send them an email that says, I need this information? Do you add them, I need admin information. I need to be able to log into accounts. I need logos. How are you going to obtain that information? Keep on moving them so you stay on track with your project. Make sure you have one like, I closed the project out. I sent them a nice email. Thank you for working with me. It's been a pleasure. Is there any questions I can answer? Here's how to follow up. And then once you, let's say, I don't know, whatever depends on your sales cycle, once they've kind of seen the process, ask them, how did I do? Were you happy? Were you unsaid? It's like you talk to Chuck Leblo. That's what he asked you, get those referrals back. But before you ask for a referral, please ask if they're happy or not. How's business going? How did it go? Are you happy or unhappy? If they're unhappy, have a process. What could have done differently? Because that way you can come back and edit this process. And if they're happy, can you refer me, please? And get those referrals back. And that's going to be all part of your marketing and sales strategy sequences. Identify market segments. So again, you should have already done the research. You know who you're dealing with. How are you going to sell them? I'm a horrible salesperson. I need salespeople. I need someone else to go out there and do the hard closes because I do not hard close. I've identified that about myself. I need a sales process that's better than that. When people say that you've not met needs, what are you going to do after that? You need to have a process for that. If somebody leaves a bad review, what is your process for that? How are you going to even track that? So I left a really scathing review after my son got kicked out of daycare or Montessori school. It took them 1 year to respond on Yelp. That Yelp review got, 3 dozen upvotes and thank yous or whatever. They pushed it all the way up. It was in the not where they suppress it and don't count it. But so many people read it and said, I like that it got pushed up. And it took them a whole year to respond to that. I'm surprised they even remembered.
So they lost a lot of business, basically.
Yeah. And on the likewise, I wrote a positive review for the place who got my son integrated in a couple days, and they went from just opening, because we got them in there 1 week, and they were how much? Okay, we'll move quickly. But they filled up fast, because a couple of really solid reviews, and I posted it up in groups where nobody can even address it. So know how you're going to market and sell. So this may or may not apply to you. So if you need funding, this is an issue. How are you going to get it? What avenues are you going to use? Is it going to be mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends? Are you reaching out to investors, VCs? Are you going to do a crowdfunding, which I've seen work wonderfully? Whatever it is that's going to work best for your business. And that's very specific because every business is different. Have a plan for that and know that you're going to have to take this business plan and make it detailed. The other one is projections. This is the part that I hate the least, or I hate the most personally, because you need to project how much you're spending and how much you plan on taking in, at least to meet how much you're spending, hopefully. No, I don't want anybody in the red. This is going to be a little bit more detailed, and you might have to go out and break out the spreadsheets and the Excel or hire someone out who can do it. But think about all your expenses, and if you add an expense, if I use Hootsuite monthly, I know that I can add that in there. That's $15.99 every single month. If I decide I need a graphics guy, this is not working, I can do a part one, but that's going to be an additional $500 a month. Go back and add that in so that you constantly can at least glance over to this document and see how you're doing. An Excel spreadsheet makes that really nice and easy. And then we're going to go back to the summary. So now you have all that information, you know what you need, you know what you don't need from this business plan. Now write your summary. How many people have written a thesis? college thesis, high school thesis. It's kind of like that. Who are you? It doesn't need to be super complicated. It can include your mission statement, but it should not just be your mission statement. I've seen one company who narrowed it down really simple. We want to double 10,000 businesses by 2020. So that was their whole summary. That's our whole goal. Everything else in here is about doubling 10,000 businesses. I was like, darn, that's good.
See, the
that.
process of creating an executive summary is a process in and of itself, because when you create the executive summary, which is really a summary coming from the major points that you just laid out here, hopefully with your vision in mind, you can come back and realize that, okay, there's gaps. I've summarized, you can say there's gaps because you're looking at now trying to bring it back together. So it's like starting with a vision, coming through and detailing out all the things you think you need, then you come back and summarize and say, okay, does the summary of what I have here match up with where my vision is? And then what do I need either in my summary that's not reflected in the details, or what are the details missing that I really want to have? But so it goes both ways. So that is, it's not like, okay, when you get all the details, I'm done.
Yeah.
No, the summary is a very, very, very important part.
And just to pick on the example, we want to double 10,000 businesses. I think the summary has to also summarize the how. We want to double 10,000 businesses by, and the by is kind of the unique things that you bring to the table that will enable your business to do that.
So that particular one got shared with me, and that is the staple. That's almost like the headline summary, but then they cover all that.
And it ends up being the high points of the various subsections.
Exactly.
Without getting
It's
into
not
all the details.
30 pages long.
If somebody could only read one page or succinctly in 5 minutes your business plan, think of a cover letter, 1 page.
Elevator statement.
Yeah. Well, elevator plus, right? That's a summary. Nice, short, succinct, and think about what you actually want people to read too. What's important to them. And then afterwards, it's a really technical term right there, I want you to make it pretty. Pretty can mean a lot of different things. Pretty could be wrapping it up in a 1-minute explainer video that's animated. The important parts. It can mean a presentation if you're trying to submit, I know HCC does a program for vets, and you sit in there and at the end you present to several VCs who are going to ask you questions. So pretty might need a presentation that's built to those VCs. Pretty might just mean something for you. When you're doing this, I do also recommend keep a little piece of paper for your to-do list items, because you're going to be thinking, so focus and stay focused on building this, and then having other people like, oh, I need to do this. But make it pretty. That could be a binder, like maybe you keep everything in a tabbed binder. That way at any point in time, you can access it if you're a paper person. I'm a digital person. I don't want all those binders of that paper. I know, right? So mine, for me, is an Evernote. I'm just going to build it in Evernote, and then if I ever need it to be something special and pretty, I can go to Evernote. What you're looking at now, this is actually an Evernote presentation, so I can even build it pretty in my Evernote and just scan through it if I need to present it. Make sure it's in the correct order to who you're submitting it to. That's different because a couple people, I've noticed, I did some research online, and they have a couple different things in different orders. For the ones that have the SBA ones, that one's all over the place. That one's like, whoa, that's major, like executive, give me anxiety trying to build ones. And so as you can kind of see, oh, it won't let me see it. What do I do? I can do this though. You can still see my computer, right? There we go. So having something, I know for the Business Growth Network Insiders, I have a checklist. So every time you do something, you can check it off, and it makes it nice and easy. And then I have note space over here, and that's not even for that. That's just so you have everything together.
Cool.
Does anyone have questions?
Well done.
I'm just going to stand because I'm gonna... Yeah, so as she said, she's made reference to the Business Growth Networkers Insiders a few times here. And this is a tool that is actually in the Business Growth Networker Insiders. And tools like this. And the intention really is to make these accessible and available to you. How many were in the Vision Challenge or have participated in all or part of? Okay, so as you've heard me use the term alignment. Okay, alignment means basically now I'm going to get other people on board with my vision, where I'm going with my company. Your business plan, not just for funding purposes, but aligning with partners, aligning with your employees, aligning with prospective partners. This becomes the basis. Your presentation, how you deliver your message, is the foundation. It'd be like unpeeling an onion. The business plan is at the core, but what they see on the outside, maybe a 30-second presentation, maybe a one-slide meme, maybe a video. It's all got your business plan and ultimately, prior to your business plan, your vision behind it. Does that make sense?
Can you memify a business plan? That almost sounds like a challenge.
Well, it actually is, because you can keep distilling and summarizing and whatever to the point where it's pretty. It gets done. You connect those dots and you kind of bring it up, and it's like you're bringing it up to a pinnacle. So the real key here is this isn't just a waste of time. This is not. This becomes, if you use it properly, as I used to say. I did business planning for General Motors, believe it or not, at one point, one of the divisions, and I can tell you that they create these massive business plans, and the government does the same thing. There are books that sit on shelves and nobody looks at them. But that's not. That is not when we're talking about. When Jena says strategic business plan, when she talks, and by the way, she did an awesome job, by the way, right? She recognized the need, and going through the alignment and process and having a basis. You align. Yeah, I see your vision, but people don't always have the same vision that you do. But you need them to go with you, right? And where your plan is, that's where you start achieving alignment. I need somebody to help me. What I do in connecting the dots is beginning to understand, okay, where are the gaps? This is your vision, this is where you want to go, but there's gaps here. And there's somebody else here that can align with you to fill that gap. You with me? And so that's what the value of this is. So as you're looking at it and trying to say, okay, does this have any value? Is this worth my time? Remember, we always talk about you need to be working on your business as well as in your business. The things we're focusing on first with Business Growth Network are the things that everybody in this room or everybody watching on this video need to understand is these are the things that you need to do first to be really working on your business. Not just talking to somebody who says, hey, here's a good idea, do this, do that, do that. There's a million good ideas.
That's a good way to chase shiny objects forever.
And that's one of the reasons why we started this Business Growth Network. And by the way, just to be the hard seller here, by the end of this month, for those who haven't already signed up, the $2 sign up and the $10 or whatever deal that we have.
$2 for 7 days and then $10 going forward.
Right. But that is only going to last till the end of this month. So if you really think that, and that's an amazing deal. Remember, we're not for profit. But we're not for loss. We're not for loss too. So we're going to have to increase the price just to cover the expenses for the various systems we're using to deliver this and consolidate. And it's going to grow over time. We're going to be. I talked to Randy. We're going to be working with some of the members of the Business Growth Network, insiders.
We were able to help Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie. We're going to be working with them not only promote their business, but also have them contribute content to our. We have consultants in this room. I know Joanne's a consultant. I know Randy's a consultant. I know you have people that have value together.
Because I also put Melanie on my business website.
Precisely. So the whole point is we're creating this network, and the power in this isn't the guru. It isn't my way of looking at it or what Jena's way of looking at it or whatever. It's the network itself. So that's why this is important, and that's why again I'm going to also pitch for you to, if you have a topic that you can educate us on. It doesn't have to be your whole. We're not looking for a sales presentation. We're looking for something that will help. Is this helpful? Mm-hmm. Yes. This is very helpful. It's helpful for me, and I help do. Just revisiting it, focusing on this, reminding myself. Oh, I still got to get that done for my business plan.
Do you have a business plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Just one comment, because like you, I've been in business for 45 years.
Yeah.
I've done at least 45 business plans.
I'm not as old as you.
I'm older. And the biggest problem with most
I
people.
don't get to say that very often.
That's okay, it's true, I admit it, and I'm happy about it. Most business plans get done and put on the shelf.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong thing to do. What I like about the checklist approach is you can do the business plan and then go back
Right.
and keep looking at it and say, okay, I said I was gonna do this. Did I do it? Yes. What were the results? Did it move me forward? Did it set me backwards? What can I do differently? Add another checklist. And that's why I use
Oh, yeah.
Evernote too.
And how good do I
It's
feel about
easy.
that check, right?
Yeah.
Just because you
Let me
checked it
ask a
off.
question. Who has a business plan that they're happy with right now? Nobody. Anybody feel overwhelmed? Only one? I'm overwhelmed that I was speaking.
I need to go back and update mine, and I feel overwhelmed because I've got a pretty full, we all have a pretty full calendar, right? We all
So
have to, yeah.
I had started doing it by email, kind of like a business planned, challenge-ish, whatever, I don't know what you want
Right.
to call it. And then I slowed it down because I wanted to wait, so we did this first. So moving forward, if you want me to add you to the list, you do have to be a member. But you can just watch for free. I'm going to be putting some of it on FaceTime,
Right, we're gonna do
Facebook
it.
Live. But a lot of it for the memberships, I will be going through an email and doing it with you at the same time, and then we can communicate over in the private group and answer any questions and help each other. And I will be building mine too. Not built one for my own business. It just because just kind of flourished out of nothing. So I
that's
will be
okay.
building it too. So I will have lots of questions myself
Sure.
that I will throw out there. But is anyone's like struggling, and then we can start sharing. If you're using it in Evernote, struggle together.
Well, but to her point, what we were putting, she was creating the checklist. She's better at doing all the Evernote and all that stuff and everything than me, actually, but I won't say. But anyway, so she goes through it, and I was actually going through it as she was developing it, like the initial, what is all those initial checklist questions and kind of answering those. And it was very helpful to me, and it kind of made me realize, okay, I need to really go back and rethink. So this isn't something, okay, beat yourself up. This is really an opportunity. And the walking
Nobody
through.
get mad about it. I think
Right.
Randy said it best. It's the process that matters. The mere fact that you're walking it through and you're trying to answer questions, and every time you answer a question and physically write it down, either type it out or write it out on your journal, every time you're going to move a little bit step forward because you're going to have an answer
Right.
to something you didn't already have.
Or you may make a step backward, and you need to know that.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you need to do a little bit of research, or may have a couple meetings, or talk to
Say,
somebody.
this isn't working.
Right.
We need another strategy.
So for those that did the vision challenge, you'll know the email a day, kind of stepping through some of that kind of stuff. So some of
It
that
might not be an
structure.
email a day. I'm going to send it out as I've finished it, and I figured that's the fastest anyone else is going to finish it.
Yeah,
There you go.
so
Any more questions?
I think we're
Very
getting
well.
close to wrapping up.
For the insiders, how long would you say, if you could guess or whatever, that building a business plan will take?
How detailed of a business plan? Like for your business where you own everything and it's a lot of it's on you? I don't think the SBA 10 hours is completely off. That's why I kind of like the idea of doing it like by email and being like, hey, knock this section out. You know, put 3 days on it, spread that hour and a half, because some people are going to be faster. Some people are going to have some answers. If you already have a marketing plan or you've done the vision challenge, you might have already answered some of these. So it's, especially if you copied it down into the Evernote pages, you can just copy, paste, and move it over, which was the nice part about the checklist is before you start writing it, you can just pop the information in there before you start building your big one. So it really depends on how much you already have, how internet savvy are you. So if you need to do market research analysis, do you know where to get market research?
Yeah, I think the way to do this is to take the outline and populate with
What
as
you-
much as you can.
Right.
And places where you don't, you need to, that
And that's
piece of
what the
paper,
checklist
you
is
need to
for.
write down, I need this. So you're not overwhelmed, it's not like start here and keep working until
Right.
you're done.
See, this is,
Populate everything you can and then look for the holes.
This is like why I kind of like built
Right.
the checklist the way I did it. If you'll notice, let me see where something I've written is. This is actually a pitch template I just did. So let's say this was a piece of my business plan I needed. I can come over here in this note space and paste it in there, and all that information becomes right there under a checklist point. And you can put links in there, you can slide images in there, anything you need
That's a
to.
business plan.
And it's better, yeah, that's
I
a
love
basic business
Evernote.
plan. It's not the pretty version, but it's got all the information in one spot so that when you need to build the bigger, prettier version,
Right.
you can just pull that information over and prettify it up on another Evernote or Word doc or Keynote or whatever you need. Keynote. Does anybody else use Keynote?
Yep,
I'm the Mac girl.
I do.
It's PowerPoint for
It's 1
Mac.
o'clock.
All right.
Um,
There
All right,
you go.
guys, we actually, we're done. It's 1 o'clock. We actually exhausted the time. Again, thanks, Jen.
You were doing this with her.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know, right?
moral support.
Oh,
No,
okay.
she didn't need
Got
me.
it.
She didn't need me, obviously.
He was waiting for me to fall and then he was going to take over.
But you didn't.
I said with. I didn't say I was doing it. It was and. I said
Yeah, I mean,
with.
sometimes it's nice to see just her face.
Pretty sure. I'm just going
Well,
to
it's for
start
sure better
dragging
to
you
see
up
her
here,
face than
Randy.
mine, that's for sure. I mean, I know that.
I'm going to pull
Anyway.
Randy in slowly.
Okay, so we're gonna, let's finish up. Are we done on this? So do we need to end the Facebook Live? Thank you, everybody on Facebook. We'll see you later. Meeting on Wednesday, next week.